The Pennsylvania Trolley Museum is a living history museum. Most people think of museums as things hanging on the wall or in display cases, whereas here you actually ride on the artifacts like we're doing right now, and you get the sway of the car, the sounds of the car, the smells of the car even sometimes, and so it's a three-dimensional experience. Well, we offer a 4-mile round trip, so the trackage is 2 miles end to end, and we have a turning loop at each end, so we go around in a circle at each end. And it's very scenic. We have a nice ride through the countryside. It's a meandering trolley line that follows a creek, just like they would have done 100 years ago. Well, the nice thing is that every visitor gets a guided tour. And we have our tour guides are actually our volunteers, and they're very knowledgeable, and they talk about some of the cars in the collection and what it was like during life during the trolley era.
Well, welcome to the museum.
Thank you.
Do you need any help getting up there?
Oh, yes, thank you.
My name is Penny Elliott, and I'm from Washington, Pennsylvania.
My name's Dave, and coming to the Pennsylvania Trolley Museum really brings back a lot of good memories.
Okay, tickets please. All tickets, tickets please. There we go.
Man, I missed having my steam vent open.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Thank you. Well, when I was in grade school, we rode trolleys when we had to go uptown. This trolley here is exactly like the trolleys we rode then. And as soon as I saw them bring this out today, it just took me back to being a little girl. It was the Jefferson Maiden was the name of it. And it went down East Maiden and up into town. And it's just kind of really good memories of the past and riding the trolley. I really enjoyed it. We called them streetcars. They weren't trolleys then, they were streetcars. But it's the same one, same color. Oh, brings back memories. Well, mostly we just went uptown or we went to the park. We could ride the streetcar to the park.
Yeah, we would go to the park, and in the summertime, every other streetcar would go out to the park. The one that didn't go out went up to the end of the line, and they'd change and then come back into the city.
Forgot about
Remember, we'd
that.
go up to the pool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I forgot about that.
And we'd go to dental appointments and things like that. Yeah, went on the streetcar. And most of the people, when you get on the streetcar, they all knew the motorman too.
Mm-hmm.
They knew who was running the car. They'd talk to him, and he'd talk to them. It was nice. It was real nice. Just a nice memory.
We hear it constantly, and we have a lot of people that remember streetcars. The nice thing is you can still ride a streetcar in Pittsburgh. The Port Authority operates streetcars, so the memories sometimes are pretty fresh. And we've had people that have come here that remember eloping on the streetcar, and they wanted to come and see the car that they eloped on. So we get a lot of good stories. A lot of servicemen that remember going off to war on the streetcars, whether it's World War II or Korea or even Vietnam, and coming back on the streetcars. So a lot of good stories.
We're preserving the history of the electric railways for generations to come. My name is Bill Franchek. I'm the president of the Pennsylvania Trolley Museum. In 1955, it was a very primitive existence down here. We had 3 streetcars sitting on a siding all boarded up. They arrived the year prior, and I started to work on track down here. And after that, we started building the buildings. And then eventually we developed an overhead wire system to run the streetcars on their own power. It was pretty primitive at those times. Well, we went from 3 streetcars to 52. We went from a short piece of track, a half a mile long, to 2 miles of track, which gives us a 4-mile round trip. We have this magnificent building behind me, which is a $2 million project, which was opened up several years ago. It's wonderful. It keeps the cars under excellent conditions, and we are able to work on them at our pace and start to restore them. It's a wonderful building for trolleys. This car behind me is the streetcar named Desire. Why do we call it that? Well, because it ran on the Desire streetcar route down Bourbon Street in the French Quarter in New Orleans. And when we saw this car in many of the ads for the streetcar named Desire, they played the stage play. We asked for it, and the New Orleans Public Service Company gave us the car. So it was built in 1924. It came here in 1964 on a Pennsylvania Railroad flat car. I helped unload it, and when I unloaded it, we put the pole up and it ran that very night. It was an exciting event, and it is one of the most reliable cars we have, and we've restored it, and when it was restored one time, we had the man who was in charge of New Orleans streetcars to come up here for it. We had a Dixieland band on it. We also had a wedding on this car. You can imagine the streetcar named Desire, have your wedding on that car.
I'm Nancy Kane McComb, educator here at the Pennsylvania Trolley Museum. We are standing in the interactive room here at the Pennsylvania Trolley Museum, where visitors can come and actually experience hands-on items and fun things to do while they're here at the museum. Well, one of the activities for children that we have all the time and for students of any age are field trips that come here to the museum. When they come, they learn all about the various time and history about when the trolleys ran. Also, for the general public, we start out with many special events throughout the year. Very exciting bunny trolley. We have pumpkin trolley in the fall. We have Santa trolley, and also a very large train display.
We came here for the fair one year, and when we got introduced to this ride coming to the Washington County Fair, you know, it made us realize that this is something we wanted to do more. Well, it is educational. Not only do you get to learn a little bit about history, but you also get to learn a little bit about science. I mean, it's kind of interesting to me to learn about how these trolleys were powered. I mean, we're so used to learning about gasoline and how those things worked, but this was all electric. And I always found that it was kind of interesting for us to think about all these cars were basically plugged in to a city to make the whole city run. Also, the science of it is kind of neat for the kids to pick up on, and as the mom of boys, I think that's something that they relate to, is, you know, the gadgets and gizmos that are used here to make everything go.
Just like a couple weeks or a month ago, there was a Boy Scout workshop here where I got to earn 2 merit badges: electricity and
Is it railroad?
railroading. Then there's a Santa trolley, Easter trolley, and the fair trolley.
Well, the kids, their eyes get very big and they smile when they hear the clang of the bell and the trolley starts to take off. That's the first experience. They just sort of in awe of this great big massive piece of machinery going down the tracks and are actually riding on it. The old timers and the grandparents are the ones that really recall riding these cars, and we have many interesting stories we hear about. Oh, this happened when I was on the trolley and my mother took me to Kennywood Park or Westview Park, for example. Many of the people talk about riding them in their hometowns if they're not from this area. We even had a couple from Philadelphia that went on their first date on one of our streetcars, and they were excited to find it here preserved after 50 years. Amazing stories.
All the people that work here from all walks of life, all volunteers, and they just love it. It's a hobby to them, but they're bringing it to new generations by having the children here and
well, keeping
doing
it alive,
what they do.
keeping it the way of life.
Absolutely.
And how it was, yeah. It's a labor of love, really. It's obvious.
I'm always amazed at that, at the people that do the work here.
We're very fortunate to have the Pennsylvania Trolley Museum here, a place that keeps us alive, that lets people know what once was. And it's so authentic, the way that they do it down here.
Well, the streetcars tied people's lives together. We have neighborhoods, for instance, in Pittsburgh, very different ethnic neighborhoods, and the trolleys would be rolling melting pots. And people would go to work on the streetcar, go to school, go to the movies, go shopping, go to Kennywood. Basically, they went everywhere. So this was central to their lives, and we want to preserve that history. And what was it like to live 50 or 100 years ago where you took the streetcar everywhere? We're multi-generational. We get a lot of grandparents and grandchildren. We get parents that came here as children and want to bring their children here to experience the museum. And I do say it's an experience. It's more than a ride, but it's really, truly an experience.